Good morning, everyone. Today we're looking at 2 Kings chapter 2, and the verses that I picked out are verses 9 through 14. In this chapter, Elijah the prophet is going to be called up to heaven, and Elisha, his servant, is coming along with him. And they move from town to town and place to place, and Elijah tells Elisha to stay, that he's going to be taken up, and Elisha says, no, I'm going to stay with you, and he doggedly follows after his master until they're taken across Jordan. The Lord parts the water so that they can walk across the river on dry ground, and as they're now on the other side of Jordan, it's just Elijah and Elisha. Elijah asks Elisha, what may I do for you before I'm taken away from you? And Elijah said, please let a double portion of your spirit be upon me. And what he was asking for, when asking for this double portion of the spirit, the firstborn, the one who was going to inherit in the family, received the double portion. And Elisha was basically saying to Elijah, I want to take up the work that you're going to be leaving behind. I want to have this spirit upon me so that I can continue the work that you've begun. And the Lord will use him to do this. Elijah said he asked for a hard thing, but if you see me when I'm taken up, it shall be for you. And it happened as they continued in talk that a chariot of fire appeared with horses and separated the two of them. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. And Elijah saw it. And he cried out, my father, the chariots of Israel and its horsemen. And he saw him no more. And he took hold of his own clothes and tore them in two pieces. And then he does something really interesting. He takes up the mantle of Elijah that had fallen from him. The mantle, that piece of clothing that he wore around him that would cover his shoulders. It was kind of the garment that spoke about the responsibility that he carried. You know, the station and the rank that he held. This fell from him and fell back to earth. And Elisha, the servant, now picks it up. And we see that there's a transition that's happening here, because Elijah was the master and Elisha was the servant. And now Elijah has gone on to be with the Lord. And Elisha is left here. He asked to continue the work, and now that mantle has fallen upon him. And now he has the responsibility to be the prophet of God and to walk in the footsteps of his master. And while he desired it, I believe that right now he starts to realize the great responsibility that he has and how really unprepared he is for it. Because look at what happens in verse 14. Then he took the mantle of Elijah that had fallen from him, and he struck the water and said, where is the Lord God of Elijah? And when he also had struck the water, it was divided this way and that, and Elisha crossed over. Elisha picks up this mantle, and he goes to the waters of the Jordan, and he cries out, where is the Lord God of Elijah? He can't look to Elijah anymore as his master. He knows that he's got to walk a difficult walk, and he's going to be called to do things that are beyond him. And where does he have to look? He has to trust now solely on God. There is no earthly support left for him. And he cries out, where is the God of Elijah? Where is the God that I saw take my master through different troubles in his life, that I saw him empower him to do miracles, that I saw him had a relationship with us? Where is that God? I want that God in my life. I need that God. If I'm going to do what I'm called to be doing, that God has to be working in the same power and in the same way in my life. Where is the Lord God Elijah? And he strikes the water, and God divides the water the same way that he did for Elijah. And Elijah crosses over. Isn't that a beautiful picture? He crosses over. He's no longer the servant. He's now crossing over as the master to take up the work of the Lord. And he's crossing over, empowered by God, as a different man now, crossing over into that section of his life. You know, all of us make this same journey. We learn from people, and there are those that God had put in our life to shepherd us, to disciple us, that we've learned from, we looked up to, they taught us. But there comes a time when they're no longer able to carry out that work. And then the mantle falls to us. And in that moment, when we now have to become the ones who are responsible, the ones who have to contend for the faith, the ones who have to be strong for those that follow after us, what can we say? But where is the Lord God of Elijah? Where is the God of the mentor that taught me all these years? I want that same power in my life. I need that same power in my life. I want that relationship even more to complete the work that I know you're calling me to do. And God is always faithful to raise up in that generation the people that he's called to lead the way. So if you are now taking up the mantle, I just want to encourage you to call out to the Lord, and you'll find out that he's just as active in your life, and the power of God is available for you, just like it was to all those who have gone before us, and will be to all those who come after us until the Lord comes and takes us all home. I hope you have a great day. Tomorrow we won't have this morning meditation. We'll be posting the full verse-by-verse study that we're doing in the book of Exodus. It'll be Exodus chapter 16 that we're going through. So if you get a chance, watch that video that will be coming out on Sunday morning. And that'll be a longer video because it will be the entire chapter, and we'll be going in depth verse by verse. Well, enjoy your day. Have a great one, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.